Imagine a place so deep, so dark, and so hostile that sunlight has never touched it. A world where pressure could crush a submarine like a soda can, where temperatures hover just above freezing, and where life, as we know it, should be impossible. And yet, against all odds, life does exist here. Strange, alien, and beyond imagination. Welcome to the deepest place on Earth. If you think space is our final frontier, think again. The greatest mystery of our planet still lies hidden beneath the waves. Beneath the glittering waters of the Pacific Ocean lies the Mariana Trench, a scar on Earth's surface so extreme, so unfathomably deep, that for centuries it was believed nothing could survive there. Scientists once thought any living cell would be crushed instantly, shells would dissolve, and bones would vanish. For generations, this abyss was seen as utterly incompatible with life. That belief changed forever in 1960. That year, explorers reached the very bottom and witnessed something extraordinary. Against all expectations, they saw movement. Not debris, not drifting silt, but a living creature. Humanity realized for the first time that life had conquered even this realm. Not in tiny fragments, but in unique forms, so perfectly adapted that they exist nowhere else on Earth. Yet most of what we know about this world doesn't come from human eyes. The crushing depths allow only minutes of direct exploration. Instead, we rely on robotic probes, or on bizarre creatures dragged up accidentally by deep-sea nets. Removed from their natural home, many collapse into unrecognizable shapes, or disintegrate entirely. All we're left with are haunting fragments, glimpses of a world we cannot fully comprehend. Picture creatures with bodies so soft they cannot survive at the surface, glowing with alien light in the black void. Imagine predators with translucent skin, massive eyes for eternal night, or jaws that unhinge to swallow prey larger than themselves. These are not science fiction monsters. They are real, and they thrive in the deepest corners of our oceans. And at the heart of this abyss lies the greatest mystery of all, the Mariana Trench. Our story begins over 150 years ago, aboard a British vessel called the HMS Challenger. Its mission was the first true expedition to map the oceans of the world. For 4 years, the crew braved blistering heat, polar storms, and unknown dangers as they lowered weighted ropes by hand into the depths. Most of their measurements revealed ordinary seafloor, 3 to 4 kilometers deep. Mud, silt, nothing unusual. But one day, east of the Philippines, the rope kept falling. 3 kilometers, 4, 5, 6. The crew must have felt fear as they tied on more rope, watching it vanish into darkness beneath their fragile wooden ship. In those days, sailors believed in sea monsters large enough to drag ships into the deep. And as the rope continued to descend with no bottom in sight, such legends must have felt all too real. Finally, the weight struck bottom, over 8 kilometers down. They had found the Mariana Trench. Had they sailed just a little farther west, they would have discovered its deepest point, the Challenger Deep, plunging nearly 11 kilometers into the Earth. To grasp its scale, imagine dropping Mount Everest into the trench. Its summit would still be nearly 2 kilometers underwater. Just one small section, the Challenger Deep, could swallow 5 entire Grand Canyons. The trench itself stretches 2,000 kilometers long, curves like a vast wound across the Pacific floor, and in places is 70 kilometers wide. One side rises as cliffs of volcanic rock. The other slopes into endless plains that stretch toward Mexico. This isn't just a hole in the earth. It's an alien world hidden beneath our oceans. But why does the Mariana Trench exist at all? The answer lies in the violent forces shaping our planet. The trench is part of a vast network of fractures and chasms around the Pacific, known as subduction zones. Here, Earth's crust is torn apart, pushed and crushed in endless motion. This is also where the Ring of Fire lies, a chain of volcanoes and fault lines responsible for 90% of the world's earthquakes. Every tremor, every eruption is part of this colossal process of destruction and rebirth. To understand it, imagine Earth's crust as giant rafts of rock floating on a sea of molten magma. Continents drift like icebergs on this fiery ocean. The land we live on is ancient, billions of years old, but the seafloor is young, constantly created and destroyed in a cycle of renewal. Once, all the continents were joined as a single supercontinent, Pangaea. Over 200 million years they drifted apart, tearing open the Atlantic Ocean and pushing land masses to their current positions. While the Atlantic is still widening, the Pacific is shrinking, consumed by subduction zones like the Mariana. As the Pacific Plate collides with Asia and Australia, the heavier ocean crust bends and sinks into the mantle, the fiery sea from which it was born. This endless recycling destroys old seafloor even as new crust is created elsewhere, and trenches like the Mariana are the scars of that process, carved where plates plunge into the earth. Alongside them, volcanoes rise, spewing molten rock back to the surface. Together, they form the infamous Ring of Fire, a circle of destruction shaping much of life on Earth. Imagine standing on a coastline, knowing that miles beneath you, the ocean floor is plunging into the earth, bending solid rock like paper. This unimaginable force is what carved the Mariana Trench, and within it lies geology unlike anywhere else. Here, enormous mud volcanoes release hydrogen into the surrounding waters, one spanning an astonishing 50 kilometers. Elsewhere, a volcano spews nearly pure carbon dioxide, not as gas, but compressed into liquid by the pressure. Even stranger, scientists discovered a pool of molten sulfur bubbling inside a crater. Something so rare it has only been seen here and on one distant moon of Jupiter. These alien features remind us just how little we know. Despite our technology, despite decades of research, less than 5% of the ocean has been explored. The Mariana Trench remains one of Earth's final mysteries. What monsters still lurk unseen? What new forms of life wait in its darkness? Could its secrets unlock cures, technologies, or even clues to how life itself began? The truth is, the last frontier isn't space. It's right here, beneath the waves, in a world more alien than anything beyond the stars. And as we journey deeper into the Mariana Trench, one thing is certain. This is a voyage into the very heart of the unknown. Half a century after Walsh and Picard's legendary descent, humanity finally returned to the Challenger Deep. In 2012, filmmaker and explorer James Cameron made history by becoming the first person to dive solo into the trench. His submersible, the Deep Sea Challenger, was a technological marvel, lightweight, flexible, and able to resist the unimaginable pressures below. Cameron's dive proved something extraordinary. Not only could humans survive the journey, but they could also explore, film, and bring back the secrets of the deepest abyss. Since then, more than 20 dives have been made into the Challenger Deep. For the first time in history, more people have reached the bottom of Earth's ocean than have walked on the moon. But triumph often walks hand in hand with tragedy. In 2021, billionaire adventurer Hamish Harding set the record for the longest and deepest dive into the Challenger Deep. Just 2 years later, he was among 5 lives lost when the Titan submersible imploded while visiting the wreck of the Titanic. At a depth barely 3,800 meters, it was a chilling reminder. In the deep ocean, mistakes are not forgiven. One flaw means instant destruction. Now, let's take the journey ourselves. Picture the surface of the Pacific Ocean, calm, endless, nothing but horizon in all directions. As we slip beneath the waves, the noise of wind and surf fades away, replaced by a silence so pure it feels alien. This is the epipelagic zone, or the sunlit zone. Though it makes up just 2% of the ocean's depth, it sustains life everywhere. Microscopic phytoplankton float here, capturing sunlight and producing half of the oxygen you've ever breathed. Zooplankton feed on them, small fish feed on the zooplankton, and bigger predators, sharks, tuna, cod, feed on the small fish. Without this fragile layer, life on Earth simply could not exist. At around 200 meters, daylight fades into twilight. We enter the mesopelagic zone, the twilight zone. Photosynthesis is impossible here, yet flashes of bioluminescence ignite the darkness. Fish, squid, and jelly-like creatures create their own light to lure prey, escape predators, or signal mates. Here rules one of the most surprising creatures on Earth, the bristlemouth. Barely 7 centimeters long, with needle-like teeth and glowing photophores, it is believed to be the most abundant vertebrate on the planet. Scientists estimate their population in the quadrillions. While lions and elephants capture our imagination, the true rulers of Earth may be these tiny, glowing fish hidden in the twilight. At 1,000 meters, sunlight disappears completely. We are now in the bathypelagic zone, or the midnight zone. Covering nearly half the Earth's surface, this world exists in total darkness. The temperature hovers just above freezing, and the pressure here would crush a human body instantly. In this blackness, vision is nearly useless. Some species have evolved enormous sensitive eyes, like the eerie owlfish. Others abandon sight altogether, relying on vibrations and pressure-sensitive organs to detect movement. Our lights reveal a constant snowfall, tiny flakes of dead organisms drifting down from above, called marine snow. For many creatures, this is the only food they will ever know. Suddenly, shapes emerge from the dark. The barrel-eye fish with its transparent head and upward-pointing eyes encased in glass. The long, whip-like snipe eel with jaws so fragile it can barely close them. And of course, the infamous anglerfish, its glowing lure dangling like a trap. One wrong move, and prey is swallowed whole by its enormous spiny jaws. This is evolution at its most creative and its most terrifying. Below 4,000 meters lies the abyss-opelagic zone. Here, the pressure is hundreds of times greater than at the surface, and life grows scarcer, stranger, and more alien. Giant amphipods the size of dinner plates scuttle across the seafloor. Ghostly sea cucumbers creep silently. Every movement is painfully slow, conserving energy in a world where food is rare. And then, beyond 6,000 meters, we enter the Hadal zone, named after Hades, the Greek underworld. Only in the ocean's deepest trenches do we find this final realm. Here lies the ultimate frontier, the Challenger Deep, nearly 11 kilometers down. The pressure here equals placing 50 jumbo jets on your body. And yet, even here, life endures. Snailfish with translucent skin, strange amphipods, and unknown microbial colonies thrive where we once thought life impossible. Here is the staggering truth. Despite these discoveries, we know almost nothing. Scientists believe millions of species remain undiscovered in the oceans, creatures so bizarre they could reshape our understanding of biology itself. Remember, the giant squid was dismissed as legend until only recently, yet it grows longer than a school bus. If such giants could remain hidden for centuries, what else might lurk in the shadows? Enormous predators, entire ecosystems, perhaps even the very building blocks of life itself? We call space the final frontier, but the truth is, the greatest mystery lies right here on our planet, beneath the waves. Less than 5% of the ocean has been explored. We know more about the surface of Mars than we do about our own seafloor. Right now, alien landscapes, lost worlds, and unimaginable creatures remain unseen, waiting for the first human eyes to find them. And here's the part nobody wants to admit. Whoever unlocks these secrets first will control resources beyond imagination. Medicines worth billions, minerals more valuable than gold, energy sources that could power civilizations. It's all still down there, untouched, waiting to be claimed. So if you want to be the first to witness these discoveries, if you want to see footage of creatures no human has ever seen before, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on the bell icon. Because in our upcoming videos, we'll dive even deeper into the abyss. And trust me, you do not want to miss what we've uncovered. The Mariana Trench isn't just a hole in the earth. It's a reminder of how little we know and how much more there is still to discover.